I would go back to the top as usual, as that what you want to do. I was hearing this phrase of externalization of power, and I felt that I am being tempted with this phrase by you. Second thing is that you talked about how China is going back to the past. How China is going back to the past. And you talked about various religious and cultural revivalism happening all over the world. With respect to India, I have not heard the word, the phrase, the sentences about Dalits and tribals specifically. Yes. Plus, how do you see Dharma as? And as per your rating in your book, which I have gone through, it is clearly stating that Dharma traditions are superior, and Abrahamic faiths are not equally valid. So it is clearly in contradiction with the notion of mutual respect that you grab in the whole, in all of the books that you have written about.
Yeah, I will write. So can I ask very good question. See, I like this kind of question. Tough question, but give me a chance to answer. So first is when I talked about aestheticization of power, you felt put on the spot, and I'm sorry, it was not intended to anybody personally. I feel I'm also part of this aestheticization of power. Maybe I mean, I have not. I gave up my business at the top of its success. I sold my companies, 20 of them, for $1 to the management. Did not put even one share into my family, and I decided I live on a pension based on the money I already made. So I stopped accumulating further and decided giving up. So, but I'm still part of the elite. May I please answer him? I'm still part of the elite because I feel I have more power, like all of you have. So if I say that the aestheticization of power applies to a lot of people beyond just the Nazis, which is what they were saying, and beyond just these Sanskrit people. I'm in it, you are in it, we are as elite have to shoulder that. Why are we afraid of saying hamara bhi problem hai? Why are you into ke kisi aur ka problem hai? Okay, then China, going back to the past, is historical fact. I mean, I'm not judging whether they're good or bad. This is historical fact. There is a difference between scholarship which is descriptive and scholarship which is prescriptive. In prescriptive, you're prescribing and saying ऐसे होना चाहिए था. Descriptive, you're just saying ऐसे है. क्या ठीक है गलत है? That is how things are. So I'm doing a lot of my work is descriptive, and I'll come to this Dharma versus Abrahamic. It's a descriptive rather than prescriptive scholarship I'm doing, but I'll come to that in a moment. So China returning to its heritage and its past is a descriptive. I don't know whether there is a good thing. I'm not even saying that. I'm saying that they feel empowered. They feel part of their nation building is to go back in history and have a historical continuity. A historical grand narrative of China is very important to them, and we do not have such a thing as a historical grand narrative of India. It's just a descriptive fact. Maybe you don't need one. Maybe you're better off than China. Maybe China is no good and we are going to come out ahead. Maybe so. I doubt it. But I'm just making a statement that this is what China's strategy is, that you should have a unified grand narrative of the greatness of China. Then religions are reviving. That's a descriptive fact. I mean, one of the things that happened when the Soviets collapsed is a huge rise of Orthodox Christianity and all kinds of Christianity. And now with Cuba, there's huge revival of Christianity there. When these oppression of religion is lifted, religion comes back with a vengeance. So people who are atheists have to ask the question: what is hardwired in the human brain? That in spite of education, because the Russians are very educated people. Chinese are very educated people. You cannot say that this is the sign of being primitive and backward. Unko padha likha denge, they won't be religious, because religion is superstition, and when people get educated and scientific, they won't need it. That is not the case. In fact, there are so many conferences that Templeton Foundation sponsors on science and spirituality, and Nobel laureates come, highly educated people come. So in India, we have idea, which is kind of old baggage of old Marxism from 30-40 years ago. You've got to update your Marxism to a more recent version, because the old baggage was that religion is oppressive baggage of the past and primitive and whatnot, and when you progress, padhe likhe honge, they won't believe in these things. That baggage still remains in India, but in other countries which are some of the most advanced educated countries, spirituality is in a big way. So this is a statement of, this is descriptive of what things are like. I'm not saying ki aise hona chahiye. Then this business of Dharma versus Abrahamic. Dharma versus Abrahamic. My book that you are referring to is not Breaking India, but Being Different. Is another book. The whole book is contrast between the Dharmic worldview and the Abrahamic worldview. The Abrahamic worldview believes in historical exclusivity and historical uniqueness. dharmic worldview believes in something else, which is a cyclical time and revival and new revelations and these kind of things happening all the time. So I'm giving every chapter, I'm giving a contrast between one view and another view, and I'm saying I'm standing in the dharmic view and giving a view of the other. Now, whether I'm respectful or not, you know, I'll tell you this. I've had numerous discussions and debates with Christians who know a lot more about Christianity, including Jesuits like Father Clooney, Francis Clooney at Harvard. You should watch those videos, and he says this is among the most interesting and important analyses of the relationship between these two systems, and that every Christian should read this book. This is the kind of the endorsement on my book is from these people. So, I recently had a debate with a Christian scholar in Houston. Some of you might have seen it. It's on the web. You should watch it. So I have no problem with Christians when I'm having these things. They're inviting me to interfaith events. I just had one a few months ago. But India में कुछ kind of ignorance about religion and a kind of belief that you have to start out by hating. You have to start off by, to show your credentials, you go to an audience and say, okay, to prove that I'm okay, I pronounce my guilt as a Brahmanical Hindu and I'm a guilty man and all my ancestors were guilty, and unless you do that at the very beginning and put your cards on the table, you are going to be accused. ये इंडिया में बीमारी है. This is a problem. I don't find this to be
within the framework of mutual respect which you talk about, and when you talk about dharma, there is a notion of untouchability attached to it. So how do you deal with it?
No, wait a second. Wait. So I want to tell you, I agree that there is discrimination. I'm not one of those who deny that there is discrimination. I have lived in a discrimination society in the United States for a long time, and when I come to India, I see discrimination here also. I see discrimination in most places I go to. Okay, so there is discrimination, social discrimination, cultural discrimination, financial discrimination. There is discrimination. I agree with that. So the question is, no, wait a second. The discrimination by the anglicized neo-Brahmins of today who are social scientists in prestigious universities funded by the United States is also a form of discrimination we should talk about. Okay. We should talk about how the adhikar or the discourse has shifted to a few people who are very elitist, who talk in a literarized language of social sciences which the Aam Aadmi doesn't understand. If you take your high-flown social sciences theories and you go to the village and tell them, they will think that you are some kind of a pyramid. Okay, so this is elitism also.